I had this whole scenario building up in my head where I'm like, I'm gonna have like these roses and I'm gonna have like all this stuff. And then it ends up happening over FaceTime out of all the places. I couldn't contain it. I'm like, I really like you, Nat. Well, the first time I saw Natalie was at the church. I walked in, I just saw her across the room. I'm like, there is no way somebody that beautiful is single. And little did I know that she was. And the first time I introduced myself to Natalie, I was talking to Ryan, and we were in front of this rock wall outside of the church, and I just tried to be all nice and subtle and just like, oh, hey, how's it going? You know, just introduced myself to Natalie.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. I would get my sister and brother-in-law to invite Noah over their house all the time.
Yeah. So the way we really got to know each other first was through Travis and Ellie. Natalie would invite me over, and we would all just be hanging out, and they would use Ryan too to be
I would invite Ryan so that it didn't look like
anything was weird. Like, oh, she tried to hide it. Like, oh, if Ryan's here, Noah's here. It doesn't seem like there's like, you know, anything going on. You know.
Yeah.
And then there we'd just be talking and just be playing different games there. And yeah, that's really how we first met.
Yeah.
What I had written down on my list and was believing God for was, you know, a woman of God that loved God, number one, and that had a heart for worship. And I saw that in Natalie. There was this purity that just Natalie had that I've never seen in anybody else I've ever met before. And that stood out to me. And, you know, at the time I was fighting with it because I didn't want to get distracted with school, and I just couldn't get her out of my mind. I'm like, Lord, I fasted, I prayed, I did everything I could to shake it off, to see if it was like of the flesh. And that just that purity, and just that, I could just tell that she wasn't fake, you know? I could tell that Natalie was real from the beginning, and, you know, I saw that she was always serving, and she was, you know, on the worship team and everything, and that for me is what stood out to me, and that's how Natalie ended up really catching my attention.
The first thing that I noticed about Noah that really highlighted him to me was his heart for worship and his heart for the Lord. And it was pretty much, I would see him in service, like really getting touched by the power of God, like more than anybody else. Like you can just tell that he has a heart of a worshiper. Okay, I know I'm supposed to like say one thing that's my absolute favorite, but I want to say like two. So one of them is like how intelligent you are. Like you are
Say it again, come on, say it again. Say it again.
No, you are very, very intelligent. Like, I feel like anything that I have a question about, if I'm with you, I just ask you. I don't even have to look it up. Like anywhere, you just like always somehow, I don't even know how, but you always know the answer to all my questions. So that's the one thing that I love about you. And then the second thing is kind of like two things in one. It's your heart and the way that you are a leader. How you're a man of God that leads everybody in that group. And I love that about you.
Natalie loves working with children, and, you know, everywhere that she goes, she's just impactful, and she just has that love that's just coming out of her. So that I would say with that, and, you know, she corrects me too a lot of the times whenever for me, I like to make fun of people and like this and that. And she's like, don't say that. Or like, she'll like, say, that's so mean. Like, so yeah, I would say that positivity that Natalie carries, that really like stems from the love of the Father. So, here's the thing. It was about, okay, wait. February, it was like February 4th? It was after your birthday. It was less than a month. It was 3 weeks after we first started going out. And we were on FaceTime. I know, it wasn't even in person. I had this whole scenario building up in my head where I'm like, I'm gonna have like these roses and I'm gonna have like all this stuff. And then it ends up happening over FaceTime out of all the places. I couldn't contain it. I'm like, I really like you, Nat. And then she's like, oh really? Like, I'm like, no, you don't understand. I really, really, really like you.
Like, that sounds so cringy.
I know. Looking back, oh my goodness. And then you're like, oh yeah, like, we were both like, and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to say something, but I can't really say it. And then Natalie was like, just say it. Just say it. I'm like, oh, but what if you don't say it back? She's like, I'll say it back. So then I'm like, and okay, another thing. So we made a rule early on that we could only talk to each other till 10:30. And then after 10:30, we have to stop talking. So it was like 10:28 and I'm like, it's cutting. I'm like, if I say it, I gotta say it right now because then I have to wait till the next day to be able to talk to her. So then I'm like, all right, fine. Natalie Treat, I love you. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I was the one that said it first. But to be fair, she did say it right after. So. Yeah.
I'm excited to know that I never have to say goodbye to Noah again.
Oh.
For real, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Never having to say goodnight to you or you always being there with me.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, I would say the moment that I'm looking forward to the most is being around all of our families. Mm-hmm. All the person that has poured out into us throughout all these years, and that moment where we're making a covenant before God and before everybody else. That moment is what I'm really looking forward to.
Just wherever the Lord leads us.
Yeah, absolutely. However that looks, 10, 20 years. Just being fully submitted to the call of God on our lives.
Yeah.